On a chilly December night in 1954, something utterly unexpected happened in the small town of Texarkana. The air was thick with anticipation as a young man named Cheesie, known around town for his love of music, found himself face to face with rock and roll history. The place was the Texarkana Memorial Auditorium, and the atmosphere was electric. This was no ordinary night. It was the night when Cheesie, armed with a microphone and a passion for music, would unwittingly become part of a legend. As the dim lights of the auditorium flickered, the sounds of "That's All Right, Mama" by Elvis Presley filled the room. Cheesie, mesmerized by the raw energy of the song, stopped the record to examine it. Elvis Presley, who was this guy? The question echoed in his mind as he set the record back on, determined to master the song himself. Little did he know, he was about to embark on a journey that would bring him face to face with the king of rock and roll. Cheesie spent days practicing, perfecting his rendition in front of the mirror. His version, inspired by Little Richard, was a fiery mix of energy and enthusiasm, completely unique. Confident in his skills, he decided to take his act to the Texarkana High School talent show. Accompanied by his friend Pat Cupp, who played guitar like a pro, Cheesie was ready to dazzle the crowd. The talent show was a hit, with Cheesie's impersonation of Elvis leaving many in the audience clapping and whistling. Little did they know, Cheesie's talent was about to catch the eye of someone much bigger than they could have imagined. 3 weeks later, Elvis Presley himself arrived in Texarkana, accompanied by his Blue Moon Boys. The town buzzed with excitement, but it was Cheesie who was chosen to fill in for Elvis during a crucial moment. As the night wore on and Elvis, Scotty Moore, and Bill Black arrived late, Cheesie found himself in an unexpected spot. With the crowd growing restless, Mr. LaFan, a local radio man, asked Cheesie to warm things up on stage. Reluctant but determined, Cheesie stepped into the spotlight, playing Blue Moon of Kentucky alongside Pat Cupp. The crowd loved it, and when Elvis finally arrived, he was impressed. After the show, Elvis sought out Cheesie, thanking him for the impromptu performance. It was the start of a special friendship. Elvis invited Cheesie to join him on stage for a duet, and the crowd went wild. It was "Roll With Me, Henry," and a moment that would be remembered for years to come. That night, Cheesie realized he wasn't just a fan, he was part of something bigger. His friendship with Elvis deepened, and they became regulars at each other's shows. Cheesie's parents, however, were less thrilled about his newfound fame and the trips to see Elvis. Despite their concerns, Cheesie's love for music and his friend Elvis was unbreakable. But Elvis's visit to Texarkana wasn't just a night of music. It was the beginning of a chain of events that would change the small town forever. It all started with a young man's passion for a song and a chance encounter that would echo through the halls of history. In Texarkana on that December night, rock and roll touched the heart of a small town, and a friendship was born that would last a lifetime. That Friday night in Humble, Texas, people flocked to the school gym for a special event. It was not just any event, but a chance to see Elvis Presley perform live. Elvis was a new sensation, and not many people had TVs back then that could catch his shows clearly. Most channels just showed static, like when you try to tune into a channel but get nothing but noise. But in East Texas, they had a choice of 3 channels, though the signal was weak. The excitement was high, though, as folks gathered to catch a glimpse of the rock and roll star. The night was cold, but the energy inside the gym was hot. Doyle Stone, a local kid, was thrilled to be there. He owned a reel-to-reel tape recorder trying to capture the magic, but alas, the tape only caught static and some off-key singing. Despite this, the crowd was electric, screaming and jumping around like they were in a wild dance party. Elvis took the stage in his signature pink and black suit, a style that would become legendary. As he began to play Hearts of Stone, the crowd went wild. Girls screamed and flailed, showing just how much they were captivated. It was clear this was more than just a concert, it was a phenomenon. After the show, Elvis interacted with fans, even scribbling a quick note on some paper for a young fan named Lee Taliaferro, signing it as Lash Laru, one of his aliases. This small gesture showed how connected he was with his audience, even if some, like Lee, were just dreaming of stardom themselves. The Louisiana Hayride, the show that featured Elvis, was a regular event that drew musicians and fans alike. It was a platform for talent, but also a source of local controversy. After one performance, a local preacher, Deacon Smith, condemned the music as devil's music, claiming it would corrupt the youth. However, Elvis continued to perform, finding other venues to share his music. As the new year began, Elvis's popularity only grew. His music, especially the song The Milk Cow Blues Boogie, became a huge hit. The song, along with You're a Heartbreaker, sold like hotcakes. This success allowed the band members Scotty, Elvis, and Bill to focus fully on their music, leaving behind their day jobs. They were now rock stars, at least in East Texas. Their tour were intense, with long drives between shows. But the pay was good, and they were building a reputation. In Houston, they played to packed houses, with girls screaming their names, especially when Elvis sang songs by Ray Charles. Despite the fame, they remained grounded, with Elvis even sending most of his earnings to his parents. That New Year's Eve, Elvis performed in Houston again, this time at the Grand Prize Jamboree. The crowd was wild, especially the girls, who were captivated by his performance. It was on this night that Elvis's manager, Bob Neal, sealed their future by signing a management contract. This marked a turning point, solidifying Elvis's path to stardom. Even as their fame grew, the band still connected with regular folks. One evening in January 1955, a colonel from the Army's arsenal invited his wife and a babysitter, Joe Hawks, to a local club. There they encountered Elvis, who was still just a kid to Joe. After his set, Elvis asked if he could call Joe when he got back to town. The colonel, being the nice guy, said it was okay, telling Elvis to just ask Joe. These moments show Elvis's charm and the impact he had on those around him. His music was more than just sound, it was a cultural shift that captured the hearts of young people across East Texas and beyond. As he continued to perform and record, Elvis's legacy was being written, one song at a time. In the small town of Hawkins, Texas, something exciting was happening in January 1955. It all started when Doyle Stone, a local hero as the star pitcher for the town's team, heard that Elvis Presley would be touring through East Texas. Doyle knew how big Elvis was becoming, and he wanted the town to experience the excitement for themselves. Doyle spoke to Don Franks, who managed the local radio station and had connections with big companies, including Humble Oil. Humble Oil was super important to Hawkins because it was one of the big oil companies that made the town prosperous. Don Franks liked Elvis's music and saw this as a great chance to bring more joy to the community. He agreed to let Elvis play in their small recreation hall at the oil camp. On January 24th, Elvis and his friends arrived in Hawkins. It was a special day for the teenagers who were huge fans. They packed into the tiny rec hall, squeezing in like sardines because everyone wanted to see and hear the famous singer. Even kids hung out of the windows to catch a glimpse and listen to the music. Elvis played not just for the fans, but also for the people who worked at Humble Oil. The company had helped make Hawkins what it was, and they were happy to support local events. Elvis, along with his buddies, played songs that made everyone dance and cheer. They played for so long that the crowd didn't want to leave, asking the performers to stay on stage longer, again and again. After the show, Elvis sat by the old piano in the rec hall. The Hawkins kids gathered around, asking him to sing slower so they could really hear the beautiful notes. Elvis, though tired from all the singing, knew the song's magic lay in its melody and rhythm. He sang softly, letting the music touch the hearts of those gathered, even as his voice began to show signs of strain from singing so much. As the night ended, Elvis left, but his music stayed with everyone. The experience was unforgettable for the young fans, giving them a taste of the bigger music world beyond their small town. Elvis's visit was more than just a concert, it was a moment that brought the community together. It showed how music could connect people and create joy. Even though Elvis didn't come back to Hawkins after that night, the memories of his music and the excitement of that winter evening lived on in the hearts of those who experienced it. In the years that followed, people would talk about how Elvis Presley came to their small town, playing songs that would change the world of music. Hawkins, once just a place on the map known for oil, became briefly famous for hosting a piece of rock and roll history. For the young fans like Jo and her friends, it was a dream come true, proving that even in the smallest towns, big dreams and big music can happen.